Hello, this is Kara from Kara Tarot, and today I'm sharing a hashtag with you. I saw this on the channel Nothing So Strange, which was a new channel to me. It just kind of popped up. And this hashtag only has 5 questions, and it uses a Maslow chart. And those are the charts that are in a triangle form. Well, here it is, right here. Nothing So Strange had this lovely version of the chart made. So it's a triangle chart, and you'll see these used for lots of things. Food groups, consumption of social media. There are all sorts of charts like this. But this is a chart with questions about your tarot, and at the base of it is food and shelter and basic needs. Well, this hashtag was based on a much older hashtag called the Blather Tarot Tag by Ms. Tracy 2, who then changed her channel to T-Space Full Stop. And I think she still hasn't posted anything for 4 years or more, unless she created another channel that she transitioned to. So what I did is I looked at that old chart as well, and 3 of the 5 questions on that chart were significantly different. And I did like those as well. So what I did is I combined both charts. So I have questions from the old chart and questions from the new chart. And the bottom 2 layers were basically the same. So the 2 layers were basically the same, and since I'm doing an old chart and a new chart, I decided to do 2 decks for each level, except for the level where I cheated and did a 3rd, but tried to keep it to still just 2 decks for each questions, except for the one. And now I do have some shout outs for some other decks that I could have thought about using, but I'm not going to pull them in too. So I did try to keep it to that. And so it ends up being 8 questions, because the chart had 5 questions, and then 3 of the questions were different. So it ends up being we're still headed up the triangle, but it's a triangle with 8 sections now instead of just 5. And it's still, I managed to keep it short for me, since I tend to be a slow thinker and a long talker. And I just thank you so much, Nothing So Strange. I think your name is Kathy. As I said, it's a new channel to me. I've now watched several of her videos, and I even bought one of the decks that she was talking about because I just thought it was gorgeous. So I've known about her channel long enough to buy a deck she showed. But she's my kind of people. And I really enjoyed I enjoyed several of her videos that I've watched so far. So thanks for doing this update on this, and maybe more people will join in. And from here, I go over to the table, and I'm always a note about, I personally don't like a lot of the videos where people chat and hold up cards next to their face, because you can't see the card, and it's like, suddenly we're all 1950s cosmetics models. Not for me. I mean, I worked in the industry, and I had enough people tell me that I wasn't attractive enough to have my face on camera, that I don't feel the need to always have my face on camera, especially when my hair is up in pin curls. But I do think there is a nice element to seeing the person's face and seeing their expressions and all of that. I like that part of it. But when it gets if you're talking about cards and trying to show cards, personally, I prefer to see the cards. So I think this is an elegant solution that a lot of us has hit on, which is kind of doing an introduction beforehand and then moving over to a close-up of the cards. I'm not, some people have a marvelous setup where they can do both at once, and they can just sit in one place and flip them back and forth, and I don't have all of that capacity. So neither here nor there, just my random thoughts, and really an explanation of why I often don't have this kind of direct address in my videos as, oh, and I'm not looking for, please don't bother like commenting, oh, you're really pretty, I'm not looking for that kind of feedback. It's the reality of having worked in the acting business, where, I'm sure you've heard them say, like, even absolutely gorgeous Celia Ward would have casting people say, yeah, I mean, we like you, but we really wish we could find a young Celia Ward, when she was only 40. So it's just, that's part of the industry. But so I spent enough time being told I wasn't attractive enough. And also that I looked too much like Meryl Streep. So like Meryl Streep's big ugly sister. So, anyway, so that's why I don't feel the need to have my face on the videos all the time. And then, oh yeah, the capper was, people said, oh, your voice is so great, you should just do voiceover work. And it's like, yeah, I know I can do voiceover work. I do voiceover work, but the package goes together. This voice comes out of this. So if they don't want to hire this, then they don't get the voice. And that's all moot now, because I'm in an area where, as a senior caregiver, I cannot be away from home enough to do the acting work in this season of my life. Oh boy, I really got off topic. So enough of this. Let's get to the cards. So now I'm ready to share the decks with you. Before I start, some of you who've seen my other videos may be wondering about what I have on the table here. If it's not obvious, it's knitting, but this was a top that I knitted years ago, and I was doing professional knitting, and I really love the pattern of it, but it was never comfortable, and I could technically still wear it, but it's a short sleeve sweater, and to me, I don't understand the concept of a short sleeve sweater, especially when it's this weight. But I do love the pattern, and so I thought I can just use it as a background. And it turns out it's a really nice, knitting is a really good background for shuffling the cards and everything. So, as I said, I'm using the old and the new questions. The basic bottom question was pretty much the same in both old and new. The old question was about basic needs. The new version is food and shelter. So I'm just combining those as one question. And of course, no surprise, the most basic for me, I began with Rider-Waite-Smith, and this is the Borderless Rider-Waite-Smith. This is where I began. So this is the most basic for me. I only recently got this borderless version because for years and years and years, I was using the Giant, which I still consider to be good for study if I'm specifically sitting down and studying with the deck, because it is larger. But these colors are slightly more muted, and no borders. And usually I do like borders. So this has just become something that I love, and the feel of the cards is better, and I like the back better than the old picnic tablecloth backing. So that is one of my basics. And no surprise to those of you who've seen my channel, the other basic for me is the one I reach for all the time. The Influence of the Angels Tarot. And this one is becoming more and more like breathing for me. So, and I consider this category to be, you know, if kind of desert island, if you could only have one, what would it be? And I think it would have to be these for me. Now, I will give an honorable mention to two other decks. The Disassembled Tarot and the Atea Tarot. So if I had to go away, those would be the four that I'd grab if I could never have anything else. Disassembled because it even helps further break down the symbols and for clarity and understanding and even meditation on the symbols. And the Atea deck because it was one of my long-time first three decks, and it would be one of the more esoteric. And I adore the historic artwork, and the theme of history will be coming up again. So the next category is safety, and both the old and the new use the word safety. And for me, it is the Wisdom of Pooh. This was my dream deck. This is a deck that I wished someone would create, and then they did. And so it is not everything I'd hoped it would be in my dreams, but in my dreams it would have included verses from the books on the card, on each card, but pretty close to it. It's always a feel-good deck for me. The Wisdom of Pooh, and this was the first edition. For those who don't know this deck, it has an online book, but it has these little cards that help with reading. Another safety deck would be the Phantasm of Life. It's just a really unusual deck. And it is color-coded by suit. And it goes back to kind of 1930s advertising art, and a lot of children in the imagery. I'm not sure there are any adults in these images. They might look, some of them look like teens. Well, the Hierophant might be in. Oh, well, see, that's the Hierophant looks like a picture of the Hierophant with two children standing in front of it. So even that, so they might be teens. But for the most part, the children look as if they have not reached adulthood yet. So all of it is kind of a Six of Pentacles deck. It's just redolent with childhood and innocence. And I'm going to cheat on this one. I do have a third deck for this safety. This is the Craft Felt Tarot, which I recently showed in another video. Just entering this world is just so joyous and comforting. Even though it doesn't really pull punches, it's legitimate in terms of its representations. And of course, the other thing that I've mentioned about this is that the book has a haiku for each one of the cards. And that's the only meaning that you have for the card in this book. So it gives you something just really exquisite to think about and meditate on and expand from. The Craft Felt Tarot. So the next category is from the new list, and this is a bee that is your friend. And this is a deck that I came really close to trying to rehome because I felt that it was always yelling at me. But then I decided it is the Circle of Life Tarot. It's a round deck, and I actually like that aspect of it. I find myself turning it to look at details, and it is incredibly detail rich. And I love the illustrations, which is why I decided to keep it, whether or not I used it. And then I realized this question actually is making me realize this is like the friend that you can never complain about your boyfriend or husband to that friend, because that friend is always going to say, oh, he's toxic, you should leave him. And so this is that friend that's going to give you a really tough answer. I always, when I've used this, I feel as if it's yelling at me, and as if I'm not seeing something that's right in front of me, even if I'm absolutely am seeing it right in front of me. So I thought I didn't like that aspect, but as I said, I've come around on it. It's also, I'm not huge on pagan decks, because that's not part of my practice, but I do think there's a place for the pagan iconography in my practice. So, and the other thing is, these images are, other people have mentioned, the images in this deck are unnecessarily violent. It is a kind of the imagery is kind of violent and negative. And so for that reason, it's a B. I considered this question to mean something that kind of stings, or it can sting. The other is one of my top 5 decks. It's usually on my top 5 list. The Wonderland Tarot. I don't have many decks. This is one of them. It is beloved because of it. I've just noticed there's a fold in that one. It's based on Tenniel's drawings, and this one stings in that it is true to Wonderland. It can be really snarky and sarcastic. It can make me laugh out loud. Very few decks make me laugh out loud in the readings, but it also will do sometimes a mirror image answer, and I'll ask a question and the answer won't make any sense to me at all until I think, oh, everything is the opposite of what I'm asking. So it is truly like going through the looking glass. It can give me answers that are flat out, not reversed, but mirror image of what the answer to the question is, which can make it a difficult deck to work with. That's the sting of this deck, and but it's part of why I love it, because it is completely in keeping with being a Wonderland deck. The next question in the old list is from the old list. It's love and belonging and romance and lust. And when I think of belonging, again, two options for if I could never have another deck in my life is the Distant Past Tarot. It I've often said, if I were ever going to create a deck, I think it would look like this. So there really isn't much point in me feeling like I need to do that. It fires on all cylinders for me with the classical artwork, with the recurring themes, with the optional cards. It is, as I said, it's where my heart is, artistically and in reading the tarot. The Distant Past Tarot. And the other one for these is a brand new deck to me, which really, which is a Tarot de Marseille style, and yet I think you'll see very similar. It's the Fox's Wedding. And yet it combines other cultures in with these classical images. This is a deck which is very new to me. I haven't done a flip through or anything on it yet. It's not a new deck, and that's one of the reasons I may not do a flip through, because it's out there. But I absolutely fell in love with everything about this from the moment that I saw it, and knowing how much that the Distant Past Tarot is my scene. I think you can look at these and see exactly why that would be the case. But this also includes one of my favorite Tower cards. This also includes more diversity of culture. So this is the Fox's Wedding Tarot. And again, this is Tarot de Marseille style, and this is Rider-Waite-Smith style. And for me, that's it. If I could only have two decks, these might be it for me. So the next question is from the old list. This is a confidence booster. And I really thought about, and this is the Mystical Medleys Tarot. And when I really thought about what is it that boosts my confidence, and a strong reader for me is what boosts my confidence. Something that I feel just fires on a whole lot of levels. And certainly this was an unexpected one for me, but the creator of this knows from my continual comments online that I just adore this deck. It's incredibly strong Rider-Waite-Smith, and it's just a really strong reader, which you wouldn't think a cartoon deck would be, but it is. So if it's dependability, if that boosts your confidence, this is it. The Mystical Medleys. And my other choice for this is relatively new to me again. It is the Scarab and Dahlia. And it's for all the same reasons. It's or different reasons, really. This one is more like the ones that I showed you, that where my heart is in terms of collage and beautiful imagery. But again, just a really strong reader. I have mentioned before, I kept all her different card versions. She has 4 versions of the Lover and 2 of Death. I kept them all in a deck because they all speak to me, and they speak to me differently. And just everything about this deck I love. The Scarab and Dahlia. So that is my other confidence booster. Accidentally had that in there. There it is. My other confidence booster is the Scarab and Dahlia. The next question is from the new list, Respect of the Forest King. And unquestionably, another one of my favorite decks. I realize I'm saying that a lot, and I will tell you that pretty much all of these decks that I picked for this could all fit in any category, because they are, if they're in this video, they are decks that just fire on all cylinders for me. The Forager's Daughter, this is a deck that I audibly heard when I work with it. And it is, of course, the Forest King would love this deck because it's all about plants and herbs and woodland creatures and the elements and foraging uses of the plants, living in concert with nature, incredible artwork. Obviously, I use reversals with this deck. And I have said before, an exquisite book that is quite different from any other book that I've seen, which again just magnifies the beauty and usefulness of this deck. So I think the Forest King would be very pleased with my having and using this deck. if he would approve of me at all. He might not approve of me at all in any case. And my other deck that the Forest King would approve of is Pagan Otherworlds. This is a deck that is so, this is more of a pip deck, although a lot of us feel that this is a hybrid deck, and hybrid in the best way. But it is definitely a nod to people that live and make use of everything in the forest, of old ways, and living in concert with nature. I think this is a deck that is, for some reason for me, it's easy to overlook, and then every time I use it, I'm just reminded of how absolutely magnificent this deck is. Pagan Otherworlds. The next question is from the new list, A Lava Lamp in Every Room. I loved this. I love this, and this will be a very obvious answer for this. The Aquarian Tarot. Of course, a lava lamp in every room. It has those colors, and it actually seems to cry out for a lava lamp. For me, I've talked before about my trouble with faces, and the fact that these are kind of zoomed in, it's still very traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but zoomed in more on the faces. I don't always get as much from this deck as I do from others, but lordy, I love those wands. And I love the color orange. It's always been a color that looks good on me and that I feel good in, and the Aquarian Tarot would bring a lava lamp with it to every room. And my other choice for this is pretty much the same color palette, but it's a Tarot de Marseille style. This is the Fournier Spanish Tarot. Very traditional TDM illustrations, but with a completely different and brighter and more mod color palette. These vibrant, saturated colors. Really mod and fun. And I've said before, I'm not particularly crazy about these old Tarot de Marseille style drawing style, but the colors for me make it something that I do reach for and I enjoy. The Fournier Spanish Tarot brings its own lava lamp to every room also. The last question is from the old list, and it is my higher self. And this is the Gustave Doré Great Bible Tarot. This was a month-long focus for me, so you can find a lot of my other videos about this deck. It is meant to be bibliomancy, and it is meant that you work with the Bible with it. The book, I feel, is inseparable from it, and it exponentially makes the readings more powerful with this deck to utilize the book and the Bible with it. And so if that's not your bag, then it won't be for you, I think. If it is, it's a pricey, the combination is pricey, but definitely worth it. Again, quite powerful. But not easy, because each part of it requires a lot of investigation. And this is definitely speaks to my higher self and my spiritual leanings. The Gustave Doré Great Bible Tarot. And then the other deck for this higher self is the Visconti Sforza, also one of my month-long focus decks. The history, the depth of history with this deck, to me, it makes, gosh, it sounds like hyperbole, but almost transcendent to work with a deck like this and other historical decks, but because of the enormity of the importance of this in the world of tarot, as well as the birth of decks, it has a place almost like no other. And so this, again, speaks very much to my higher self and my interest in tarot in general, and all that good stuff, as well as touching on the part of me that is incredibly interested in history. And anytime you connect with history, there's kind of a timelessness to it that is hard to quantify. So thanks very much to Nothing So Strange for creating this new version of this tag, which then made me aware of the old version of this tag by originally by Ms. Tracy 2, and then who then changed to another channel name, T space full stop, and it looks as if she hasn't posted anything there for about 4 years, so she may not be online at all, but it was a great initial idea, and I love what Nothing So Strange did with it than to modernize it and add a little fun to it as well. So, and I was trying to keep this short, and gee, looks like I kept it under 40 minutes, which is kind of amazing for the number of decks that I went through. So, thank you for spending time with me and enjoying this hashtag. I invite you to play along. This is Kara from Kara Tarot. Have a wonderful day.